Rolling tin fist.
Hello, man. So, as a lot of you have probably seen on the news, social media, what have you, the young man at Stanford was convicted of sexual assault. I'm not going to discuss the case or which side of the fence we're on and all of that. I think, the facts speak for themselves. What I do want to talk about in this video is for young men in college today. I haven't been in college in quite some time, so a lot of this is just really surprising to me. The environment the young men find themselves in. And to me, this is really an example of, again, not speaking to any of the particulars of what happened, but just as a man looking at this, this is the risk you take in modern campuses with all of the pitfalls that can occur. Okay. Now, I'm not talking about when you have a male who is clearly violated or broken the law, and that's not what I'm talking about. But I'm talking about those situations where there is just shades of gray, or even those situations where it's clear that when the interaction with the woman started, things appeared to be permissible. And young men in these environments really, I hope they have a wake up call. I just really hope they have a wake up call and start to consider really, what a lot of men have been saying, MGTOW, red pill men, just really start seriously considering just giving these women what they want, what they say they want in a lot of cases, which is just to be left alone. Just hang with me here. I know a lot of things people may have controversy or difficulty with, but the takeaway is that with affirmative consent and all these things, just consider, I'm just saying, you men in these campuses, seriously consider just leaving these women alone. Because if you leave these women alone, then you're not in a scenario where you may have to defend yourself because things change from what you thought they were. Now, a lot of things, this might sound like common sense, right? And I wasn't even going to talk about this before because the whole thing, I was listening to NPR last week, and it was just mind blowing. Just how this is another touchstone to basically say, at least a lot of some of the female panelists, to say all men are like that. And again, I'm not defending one way or the other, but here's why I bring it up. So, fast forward to today. I'm talking with my son. He's fooling around with the sister like, little boys do. And he's taken a little bit too far, just being very physical and whatnot. And it's something, he always does. He wants to hug her and all that stuff. He's very touchy-feely in that sense, And, his sister, it's usually no big deal. Two kids sitting down, maybe watching the movie. But what he likes to do sometimes is just physically just jump on her, the way a lot of boys will rough play. And so normally, she'll say, hey, you're taking it too far. And even I've told him, said, look, you have to understand what the boundaries are. You have to understand the difference between playing and disrespecting somebody's personal physical space. And let's be clear, for you fathers out there who have young boys, particularly young boys and young girls who have had them, you get a sense of what I'm talking about. For those of you who aren't fathers, but, I know like folks like Sandman that are planning on having them, this is something you need to start bright and early. If you do decide to go that path, you got to start your sons very early. But anyway, so today he takes it a bit too far. And I can hear her saying, stop it. And he's not listening. He's just carried away. So she hits him. And so he's pissed off. And he's like, why'd you hit me? And so I say, both of them, come over here. I let his sister know, I'm going to talk to you later. Just give me a second. I'll talk with your brother. So I'm talking with him, and he's furious, right? And I'm explaining to him, look, this is something we've talked about before. When you're interacting with a girl, you need to be very clear where the boundaries are. You need to know the difference between rough playing, and disrespecting somebody's personal, physical boundaries, right? And this is information that any of us needs to learn when we're growing up, whether the other person is a male or a female. But this is especially important today if we're talking about being a young male versus being a female. And so he's listening to me, but he's clearly very angry, right? Very angry. So just when I think I've reached him in that explaining, look, I'm not saying you can't hug your sister. I'm not saying you guys can't play. I'm explaining to him that the problem is when you get to the point where you're technically assaulting her, or you're physical with her in such a way that she's telling you no. I mean, she's at top of lungs saying, no, stop it. You need to stop. So just when I think I've reached him and I'm about to let him go, and I say, are you okay? He goes, but she didn't have to hit me, and he's angry. And I'm like, just realizing that he doesn't get it. And I said, she hit you because you didn't get the message. And I went further to say, I want you to learn this lesson now. I know you're angry. I know it hurts. I know you feel, even though you were jumping on her, she shouldn't have hit you. I explained to him that's what happens in the real world, right? And I'm thinking about this Stanford guy. I'm like, look, whatever happened, you breached a certain boundary past the point of no return, right? And, you have to face the consequences. So, again, for you young men in these campuses, college life is so different from when I went to campus. But that's another video. I would just, implore you young men to seriously consider it. Again, maybe you're already with MGTOW and you're keeping away. Wherever you are in your awareness, if you listen to this, seriously consider MGTOW. I mean, seriously consider it. Because this is only going to get worse, in my opinion, what I've observed. I work where I go through a college campus every day, and I see just the interactions, the way they occur. I see even something as basic as how women dress today on college campuses versus when I was in college. Again, for you social justice warriors, it's not about, what a woman's wear, blah, blah, blah. What I'm basically saying is times have changed, okay? Times have changed. And the system is a lot more punitive towards young men than it was before. So, young men out there, again, I keep repeating this because I only see this getting worse. I see a lot of men who maybe their fathers didn't school them on how shit goes down today in campuses, but if your dad didn't tell you or didn't have the conversation like I had with my son, I implore you, seriously consider going MGTOW. Seriously consider just leaving these women alone. Don't invite them to your parties. Don't walk them home at night. Don't stay up late with them doing homework. I know it sounds crazy, but it's for your own good. I would just seriously consider, I'm not your dad, I'm not going to tell you what to do, but consider your options, consider the risks, right? Consider the risks, and consider seriously going MGTOW, or at least, going through all this red pill knowledge and understand female nature, gynocentrism, all these things that all of these content producers have put out. Really, really consider it. Because, let's face it, the next man that finds himself in this situation, who may be dead to wrong in terms of what he did may end up getting a lot harsher sentence, right? And you don't even want to be in that position. I'm telling you, you don't want to be in that position. Now, begs the question, well, if I'm not messing around with these college girls, how do I get my rocks off? There are tons of videos on this by tons of content producers. Three things come to mind: abstinence, masturbation, and prostitution. So I'm going to leave you guys to your own devices. I am not championing one versus the other. What I am saying is that for your future livelihood, safety, development, survival, consider other options than the status quo. The status quo being getting involved with college women on campus. I'm out.